Bismillah walhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa man tabi'ahum bi ihsanin ila yawmiddin wa ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today, inshallah, we're going to continue where we left off in our coverage of the great Imam al-Ba'li's, Abdurrahman al-Ba'li's Bidāyat al-ʿābid wa Kifāyat al-Zāhid. We are now looking at the chapter of Zakāt, picking up at the section of gold and silver, having already discussed livestock, harvest of the earth, minerals, treasures, those types of things. He says, وَيَجِبُ فِي الذَّهَبِ وَالْفِضَّةِ رُبُعُ الْعُشْرِ إِذَا بَلَغَ نِصَابًا فَنِصَابُ ذَهَبٍ 20 مثقالا وفضة 100 درهم ويضم أحدهما إلى الآخر في تكميل النصاب وتضم قيمة أرض تجارة إلى أحد ذلك وإلى جميعه. So here 2.5%, 2.5% of gold and silver must be paid if they reach the niṣāb, which is 20 mithqāls for gold and 200 dirhams for silver. They may be combined to complete the niṣāb. The value of trade goods may also be combined with one or both as well. So zakat is due on gold and silver when either reaches its niṣāb. We talked about the niṣāb being the minimum threshold required for zakat to be obligatory. So what is this minimum threshold for gold and silver? The Imam is describing it in terms of mithqal and dirham, which is not what we use today. So if we were to translate that or do an exchange of sorts, gold would be 85 grams of pure gold, 85 grams. That's 20 mithqals of gold. And 200 dirhams of silver is approximately 594 grams of pure silver. Gold, so we got that, 85 gold, 595 grams of silver. Basically, once you have that amount in your possession, you have reached the niṣāb, and now you are eligible to pay zakat. Eligible in terms of you're obligated, I should say. So gold, silver, and trade goods may be combined, and this is what he mentions here. This is an important point. Combining these first currency with commercial goods. So you can combine these things together to complete the niṣāb. And this combination is assessed proportionally, meaning you're looking at percentages now. So 50% of this and 50% of that. You put them together to make, like you have 50% of the niṣāb for gold and you have 50% of the niṣāb for silver. And you can put them together and you get 100% of your niṣāb. Essentially meaning whatever percentage of the niṣāb one possesses in each category is added together toward the total. So another example, if a person owns 10, we'll use the mithqal and the dirham because they're round numbers, they're smaller, they're easy to understand and calculate than 85 grams and then 595 grams. You already know how I am with math. Top notch. Yes. So we stick with the niṣāb and the dirham. So if a person owns 10 mithqals of gold and 100 dirhams of silver, each one of them alone is less than the niṣāb. If we said 20 is for gold and 200 is for silver, we have 10 of gold and 100 for silver, which means each one of them is at 50%. Okay? So in this case, you can combine them together in order for you to be obliged to pay zakat. You would have to combine them there. Likewise, the value of trade goods is combined with either gold or silver to complete the niṣāb. For instance, one has 10 mithqals of gold and trade goods worth another 10 mithqals of gold. So 10 plus 10, even this is gold and this is goods. This is like whatever trade goods, commercial commodities that you're selling, it's in your inventory and you have 10 mithqals of gold worth of that product. You put them together to get 20 and therefore you're liable. And that's how it works. Like silver, the same thing. 100 dirhams of silver, and then you have trade goods valued at another 100 dirhams. You combine them together and you get the niṣāb. And you can do it like that, mixing around. So just so we cover all the bases, one with gold and trade goods, one with silver and trade goods. Another example might be trade goods combined with both gold and silver. So you might have 5 mithqals of gold, 100 dirhams of silver, and then you have trade goods valued at 5. What would you need here? You have 5 mithqals of gold, right? You got 5. That's 25% of your gold. 100 dirhams of silver, 50, right? And then you need what left? So you need 5 of gold. So that's what you have in your trade goods. And that gives you your 100%. And now you have to pay zakat. And that's how it works. That's essentially what the Imam's getting at. In the very short line that he mentions, where he says, وَيُضَمُّ أَحَدُهُمَا إِلَى الْآخَرِ فِي تَكْمِلَ النِّصَابِ. Just that one line opens up a whole bunch of calculations that a person who has these various different either types of currency or products which are wealth in circulation, or وَتُضَمُّ قِيمَةُ أَرْضِ تِجَارَةٍ إِلَى أَحَدِ ذَلِكَ وَإِلَى جَمِيعِهِ. Again, that is the line that talks about the value of trade goods, etc. He talks about how you calculate the trade goods, by the way, later. In case you were wondering, well, wait a minute, how do we appraise? Yep, our trade goods. Should we do it in gold or silver? Think about that in the back of your mind. We'll move on to the next part. He says, وَلَا زَكَاةَ فِي حُلِيٍّ مُبَاحٍ مُعَدٍ اسْتِعْمَالٍ أو إعارة ولو لمن يحرم عليه غير فار من زكاة وتجب في محرم ومعد للكرة أو النفقة إذا بلغ نصابا. There's no zakat due on permissible jewelry prepared for use or lending, even if owned by someone for whom it is impermissible, meaning impermissible for them to actually wear, so long as it is not a means of evading payment, evading the zakat payment. Like someone would say, I don't want to pay zakat, so I'm just going to buy some jewelry, permissible jewelry. The intention is clear there. The intention, again, it shows you how powerful that is. It is obligatory on jewelry that is impermissible or that is prepared for rent or for expenditure if it reaches the niṣāb. So zakat is not due on gold or silver jewelry that is permissible and genuinely prepared for use or lending. That means if you own jewelry, and this question comes up because most of the women, they own gold jewelry. Some of them were gifted that at their wedding, or throughout their life, their parents or their husbands providing them with gold jewelry. And some of them might have quite a stash, which meets the or exceeds the niṣāb. And they're wondering now, what do I do with this gold jewelry? Do I have to pay zakāt on it? And eventually that would mean you would have to pay zakāt until it depletes to that niṣāb threshold. Because your zakāt is yours to pay. It's not your husband's duty to pay zakāt on your jewelry. It's your property. It's your obligation to pay. So in the madhab, there's no zakāt on jewelry that is meant to be worn. It's prepared for use, meaning to wear or lending. And that applies to both men and women, even if the jewelry is not worn or lent out yet. The intention was to buy it to wear it. It's just this particular piece, I haven't had the occasion to wear it. It's meant to be for a super special moment when my son gets married and, well, he's only 13 or something. But we're thinking ahead. We're planners. Yeah, we're really the long-term planner type, right? But it was intentionally purchased or gifted for that reason, and so you're holding on to it with the real, genuine intention to wear it. Or it was acquired to lend out. As long as it's prepared for that purpose, then there's no zakāt. And this is the case for permitted jewelry, permissible jewelry, and impermissible jewelry if kept to lend. This is the case for permitted jewelry, meaning it's yours and you intend to wear it. As long as it's permissible for you to wear it, you don't have to pay zakāt. Or it's impermissible jewelry for you, but you have it in order to lend it for those who are permitted to wear it. Like, for example, a man may keep women's jewelry in order to lend it to a woman. It might be, look, I'm keeping this valuable thing and I'm going to lend it to you. You can wear it when you want, but it's mine. I retain ownership and you can borrow it. Or a woman might do the same thing, possesses some jewelry that's permissible for a man, some type of decorative thing that she wouldn't wear, and she's going to have it to lend to a man. Those items, there's no zakāt required. If it's impermissible jewelry, then zakāt is required. Okay? And this is based on a hadith. There's no zakāt on jewelry. So, impermissible jewelry would be like a man's gold ring. A man's gold ring, regardless if it was owned by one or the other, it's an impermissible type. It's not meant for a woman. Or a man owns it, he's not allowed to wear it. He has to pay zakāt on that. Yeah. It's a form of wealth. It's not, even if they do wear it, it's haram for them to wear gold in Islam. It's impermissible for men to wear gold. Gold has been reserved for women. The Prophet ﷺ said that very explicitly. He said, 2 things are haram for the men of my ummah, and he had gold and silk. Silk as in the real silk, like the real actual silk, not like the imitation silk that you might find at your local $5 store. Yeah, silk is an expensive item. Okay, like the real silk, the one that's from the worm, as opposed to like a manufactured one that's not. It's like just some other type of material. So the gold ring or the gold jewelry that is for men is liable for zakāt. Gold decoration that is used for animals, like I might put it on the reins or the stirrups, or gold household items like cups, mirrors, decorations. Those things are also included. Or if it's prepared for business or rent. such as items owned by jewelers, rented out for wedding parties or various different occasions and things. Or if it is stored away as actual wealth. You're just like, look, I'm not interested in all this digital stuff. I want hard currency. I want gold. I'm putting my money on gold. And so I have a stock of gold somewhere. That is wealth that is being frozen. It's not circulating. And so there's a zakat payment that's liable for that. And in these cases, if the amount of those items that I mentioned, they're impermissible, prepared for business or rent, or stored away as wealth, if those amounts of gold or silver reach the niṣāb, zakat must be paid. As for other precious materials like gems and rubies, precious stones, pearls, etc., platinum, various different metals besides gold and silver, there's no zakat on them unless they are for trade. Then they become a commercial commodity, which is zakat liable. Next section he says, وَيَحْرُمُ أَنْ يُحَلَّ مَسْجِدٌ أَوْ مِحْرَابٌ أَوْ يُمَوَّهَ سَقْفٌ أَوْ حَائِطٌ بِنَقْدٍ وَتَجِبُ إِزَالَتُهُ وَزَكَاتُهُ إِلَّا إِذَا اسْتُهْلِكَ وَلَمْ يَجْتَمِعْ مِنْهُ شَيْءٌ فِيهِمَا. So the next part has to do with the impermissibility of adorning. He says it's impermissible to adorn the masjid or mihrab, or to plate the roof or walls with gold or silver. So it's impermissible to adorn the masjid or mihrab with gold or silver. It's impermissible to plate the roof or walls with gold or silver. It is obligatory to remove it and pay zakat upon it, unless it is worn away and nothing of it remains collectible. So in that case, where it's worn away and nothing remains collectible, you don't have to remove it and you don't have to pay zakat on it. So it's not allowed to decorate the masjid, the mihrab, or to plate the roofs and the walls with gold and silver. Like real gold and silver, not like gold and silver paint color. That's just a color. If the paint is actual gold flake paint, then that's gold in it. And unfortunately, it would probably be along the lines of unable to be gathered and collected. However, it's impermissible to utilize that in the decoration of masjids. This is because this display is wasteful, leads to arrogance, and has a negative impact on people in need. People that actually are in need, that live in poverty. It breaks their hearts to see wealth being frozen in decoration. And one of the main missions of our beloved alayhi salatu wasalam was to look after the poor and to take care of the needy. I mean, that's one of the fundamental objectives of zakat. And so when you start tying up and utilizing wealth in this wasteful manner, then you're undermining those major overarching objectives. So if it is used, it must be removed, just like any other forbidden act. He says, وَيَجِبُ إِزَالَتُهُ إِزَالَةُ الْمُنْكَرِ. And we've talked about some of the objectives of that, some of the conditions to that, some of the manners to that, how you go about removing the evils from your community. But this is one of those, because something that's impermissible is a munkar when it's done. So it has to be removed. And in this case, we would remove those items of decoration. So it might come in the form of lamps, door handles, things of that nature. You might find where communities have gotten together to embellish their masjid with these types of currencies, if you will, precious metals. So you would have to remove it, and zakat would be obligated to pay on it, as I mentioned, if it reaches the niṣāb. Otherwise, with the exceptions there, it wouldn't need to be removed. If trying to remove it, it wouldn't generate anything. It pays out. You pay it out of that. Yeah, you pay it from whatever's taken off. That ayn, that actual gold itself, that comes out. If someone donates, I was thinking about that too. If someone donates, like a waqf, an item of gold or silver to the masjid, whatever it is, like a lantern, a light fixture, the waqf is invalid, the endowment. Since the very item itself can't be used in a permissible way. So what has to be done is it would be melted down and spent on the upkeep or needs of the masjid, so that the donor's intention of benefiting the masjid is still honored. Does that make sense? It was given as a waqf. We cancel that. Because the waqf is, it stays as it is. Like someone that gives a mushaf as a waqf, for example, then you don't alter that. It stays in that form for the purpose it was intended. And that's the way it should be managed. But something that itself is impermissible, it can't be honored to maintain, to be in that state. And the only thing that you could do here to keep the nature of its charitable designation is to now transform it into something that can be utilized with kind of the intent that was behind it. Again, if it can't be removed to recover anything as if it was worn away, then it can remain in place. No zakat would be due so long as it no longer holds the value of money. And there was an example of this that occurred during the life of Umar ibn Abdul Aziz when he became the Khalifa. And he wanted to remove the gold plating in the Umayyad Masjid in Damascus. So this is something that happened very early on. Even I believe in the history of the Kaaba, there were those that decorated it with gold plating. So he wanted to strip that masjid of its gold plating, but he was informed that nothing could be removed. Like, it wouldn't really have anything. And for that reason, they left it in place. According to the Ahnaf, and I'm bringing this here in case we were to see other examples of this happening and you're going to make an inkar, you should understand, the Hanafis, they view there is no harm in adorning the masjid with gold and the like because it's considered honoring the masjid. Some among them even deemed it recommended for that very reason. According to the Malikiyah, it is disliked, not haram, disliked, and the masjid, of course, should be kept away from such decorations. This is also one of the views of the Ahnaf, the Hanafis. So you find in the various different schools, there could be a multitude of views on one particular issue. The Shafi'iyah, there are two positions regarding the ruling here. And one of those is that it is prohibited. This is mentioned in al-Adab al-Kubra. Said the first person to gild the Kaaba and to adorn the masjid was al-Walid ibn Abdul Malik, when he sent Khalid ibn Abdullah al-Qaysari to Mecca. So it's disliked, so that's the issue with gold. So we know the Hanabila, they said it's haram, has to be removed. Zakat has to be paid if it reaches the niṣāb, along with what I mentioned. What about other types of decoration? This is important for our day and age, because most masjids aren't on a budget where they're putting in gold and silver, though there are some that do. Because of the abundant wealth in their community, they end up investing in these types of things. Maybe they're Hanafi, background, and they say, look, this needs to be a beautiful place. We want this to be we want people to come that visit or see it, they love their masjids. If you think about like the Haramain, for example, Masjid Nabawi today and Masjid al-Haram in Mecca, and you look at the way that it's been designed and built, etc., it is not simple architecture. It's filled with all types of precious materials, flooring, walling. It's not like they've spared any expense in decorating such places. Elaborate writings, calligraphies, beautiful designs and colors. And then the more moderate places, the local masajid, right? What is it that we do sometimes? We want to like jazz the place up a little bit, It's disliked, makruh, to decorate the masjid with designs, colors, inscriptions, and the like. Usually anything that distracts the worshiper in their prayer. And I have a bone to pick with masjids that do this kind of stuff. Put up a lot of designs. They just want to make it like their home and have all types of things. And I believe, my view is that, my view is this. The masjid, especially in communities that have an abundance of wealth, should be very modest. Because when they go home, they've spent millions probably on their own homes, and they live in that environment all the time. They need a place to go to bring them down to some minimalism. That's my view. Obviously, there's a gamut of different views here on what that is. And some people might say, as I explained, look, we want it to look beautiful so that we can impress the neighbors and maybe they'll see how valuable this place is for us, and we want to take pride in our masjid, and that means we start putting all of this wealth into it so that it looks like a very beautiful, well-designed, well-crafted. And that has been, obviously, the masajid around the world. There are some phenomenally designed, beautiful architecture. There's no argument there. And I'm not like looking down at all that. There's a moment of kind of like, yeah, these are very beautiful buildings, very beautiful structures. But the essence, if you look at the Prophet's masjid, was a simple building, a simple structure. It was a reflection of the average architecture of his community. It reflected the landscape of where he lived. And someone might be thinking, well, that's all they could do. But you remember the church in Yemen, Qulais, that they were building? This was the Abraha situation with Afil and all that stuff. They were building this very elaborate church. It was called Qulais. And it was going to be a palace, and it was meant to rival the Kaaba. And so what they were going to do is they were importing all of these materials, like ivory and ebony, and it spared no expense. So materials like that were available, no doubt. And as the wealth started to flow into the Muslim community, as they became the leaders of their region, they could have easily done the same thing. All right, so keep that in mind. Like I said, these are the rulings within the madhab about decorating with gold and silver, etc., impermissible, and then decorating with other things that distract the people that are there. Even having, like we do on the prayer, the wall, the qibla wall, even this and the masahif that are mounted there can be distracting, right? So ideally, they would be somewhere else. Yeah, just plain. Listen to this. In Al-Ghunya, it states there is no harm in plastering. Right? Even they would ask about that, plastering the wall, as opposed to having like the raw material. Like just imagine, you know these concrete blocks, they come in gray. Just like that, raw. The original, natural composition of it. Like mud brick. And just that's it. So they're asking, what about that? There's no harm in plastering. Al-ʿābid states that it's permissible to plaster its walls, meaning to whiten them with plaster. This was authenticated by al-Harithi. But Imam Ahmad did not approve it, but saying it is from the adornments of the world. You know, Imam Ahmad was a imam in zuhd. All right, let's jump forward. He says, يُبَاحُ لِذَكَرٍ مِنْ فِضَّةٍ خَاتَمٌ وَلُبْسُهُ بِخِنْسِرِ يَسَارٍ أَفْضَلُ وَلَا بَأْسَ بِجَعْلِهِ أَكْثَرَ مِنْ مِثْقَالٍ مَا لَمْ يَخْرُجْ عَنِ الْعَادَةِ وَقَبِيعَةُ سَيْفٍ وَحِلْيَةُ مِنْطَقَةٍ وَجَوْشَنٍ وَخُوضَةٍ لَا رِكَابٌ وَلِجَامٌ وَدَوَاتٌ وَنَحْوُهَا ويباح من ذهب قبيعة سيف وما دعت إليه ضرورة ولنساء جرت عادتهن بلبسه ولو زاد على 1000 مثقال وللرجل والمرأة التحلي بنحو جوهر وياقوت. So here we're talking about a couple more permissible things. It's permissible for a male to wear a silver ring, which is best worn on the left pinky finger. It may exceed a mithqal in weight, so long as it does not go beyond the customary practice. The same applies to the pommel of the sword, a belt's ornament, the belt that you would wear around the waist, armor, and a helmet, meaning for silver, but not stirrups, reins, inkwells, or similar items. It's permissible to have a golden sword pommel and whatever else necessity requires. For women, whatever jewelry is customary to wear is permitted, even if it exceeds 1,000 mithqals. Men and women alike may wear adornments made of gems or jewels. So it's permissible for a man to wear a silver ring, as it's mentioned here, best worn on the left pinky finger. And this was the practice of the Prophet ﷺ. The left pinky finger, one of the wisdoms behind this is that it keeps your hand free for daily use. Normally the right hand is the dominant hand, and normally the fingers, even if the left hand, the pinky is the less dominant finger, right? So the ring is not going to impede normal use. And a similar thing to that would be a watch. To wear the watch on the left hand. I've heard some people say wear the watch on the right hand. And they use the argument of be different than the disbelievers. And I'm not sure that's a founded understanding. Yeah, the disbelievers wear it on their left hand, so khalif al-yahud wal-nasara, wear it on your right hand, as if that's some type of religious symbolism to wear it on the left hand. That's not the case. And it doesn't make sense based on the way the Prophet used to wear his ring on the left hand. So to wear a watch, like sometimes the watch it's rather delicate, expensive, and especially for the dominant right-hand person, the last thing you want is that thing, you know, you're working away and, you know. So that's something to consider. Best if worn on the left pinky. Best here. Doesn't mean yajib. Doesn't mean it's an obligation. It means it's the best practice, as that was what the Prophet ﷺ did. And the ring may weigh more than a mithqal, which is 4.25 grams, so long as it doesn't exceed customary limits, meaning within your community what's considered like, that's a bit, you're being extra with that ring there. And the stone of the ring may be silver itself or another material. And it's recommended if the ring has a stone for you to face it to the palm of your hand, to turn it around. If there's a stone on it, to turn it around. This is also reported from the Prophet ﷺ. Other permitted silver adornments include a sword pommel, belt decoration, armor, as he mentions, or helmet, by contrast, like items you would have on the actual horse. So now we're talking about going into battle. Right? So essentially the concept here is adorning the weaponry and the armor, right, in front of the enemy, and also for the one holding them. Because during battle, that's when you want that pride. That's when the permissible pride is. When you get on the battlefield, you need to be puffed up. You need to show force and you need to show dignity in front of the enemy so that they're seeing like a sight. Okay, so this is basically the concept here behind allowing these types of, this form of, it is a form of wealth, but it's also a currency for that to be used in these types of things. As opposed to the stirrups, the reins, the inkwells, similar objects, they should not be adorned in silver because this is considered to be excessive for ordinary use. The Prophet also wore a silver ring, as I said, but his ring was also engraved, which was used for stamping. It had Muhammadun Rasulullah. Muhammadun Rasulullah, like that, on the ring, in 3 lines. And this is, like I said, he would use that as the stamp for his signature. And he forbade others from duplicating that ring, that they have a ring like, because they would imitate the Prophet. But for them to have a ring that says Muhammadun Rasulullah, there may be confusion in it as an inscription or a possible usage. So this does establish the permissibility of having a ring inscribed or engraved on it. The scholars, however, discourage inscribing Allah's name on a ring because a person might expose it to something disrespectful, like entering into the restroom or other forms of careless usage with it while wearing it. Gold, however, is forbidden for men, though permitted for women. We discussed. إِنَّ هَذَيْنِ حَرَامٌ عَلَى ذُكُورِ أُمَّتِي وَحِلٌّ لِإِنَاثِهَا. He says, indeed, these two, gold and silver, are forbidden for the males of my ummah and permitted for the females. You can find this in Abi Dawud and Nasa'i wa Ibn Majah. And of course, the wisdom is that you discourage luxury, status, and excess for men. Men are called to embody qualities of humility and simplicity in Islam. And they're also called to preserve a clear distinction in outward appearance between men and women. Right? So even the jewelry that is permitted for men, let's say, even the material that is permitted for men to wear as jewelry, like we said, silver and gems, the type of jewelry cannot imitate the jewelry of women. So like a string of pearls. A string of pearls is for women, right? So is wearing pearls impermissible for men? No, not in and of itself. But for a man to put on that woman's string of pearls, in this case it would be impermissible. Imitating the opposite gender is impermissible. The general prohibition is you're prohibited from imitating the opposite gender, not just in dress, but also in talk, in walk, in mannerisms. Right? So if you see a man who's carrying on like a woman, it's impermissible, like he's walking around like with his female walk, or he's talking in a female way, yeah, then he's imitating a woman. That's impermissible. Disliked also for men or women to wear rings of iron, brass, copper, or lead. The Prophet described iron as the adornment of the people of hellfire. So wearing things in this life that are associated with torment in the next. The Prophet ﷺ cautioned us from these things, these adornments. Disliked. Yeah, disliked. It says, وَيُقَوَّمُ أَرْضُ التِّجَارَةِ وَهُوَ مَا يُعَدُّ لِلْبَيْءِ وَالشِّرَاءِ لِأَجْلِ الرِّبْحِ بِالْأَحَظِّ لِلْفُقَرَاءِ مِنْ ذَهَبٍ وَفِضَّةٍ. So there we go. Back to that initial part of joining gold and silver, if you needed to, with commercial commodities. It said trade goods are appraised according to whichever standard. Gold or silver is more beneficial to the poor. So that's how you would determine the price of your commodity. So now and for the longest time, silver has always been the lower value commodity or precious metal, and gold has always been the more expensive one. And so what you would end up doing is appraising those goods at the rate of silver, so that you could get more zakat, essentially. That would be what's most beneficial to those that are in need. And that's where we're going to stop for today. Add another lesson to our curriculum. Yeah, bump that up to 7 now. Jazakallah khair. I don't want to hold you anymore. It's been 55 minutes. Appreciate your attendance and your attentive listening and all of your comments, engagement today. Jazakallah khair. Wa sallallahu wa sallam ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa akhiru da'wana.